All right, welcome to MKS's inaugural 2022 draft. We're here in beautiful Saudi Arabia. I didn't think I'd be calling it beautiful in my lifetime, but now that I'm here in the capital, Riyadh, it's just a gorgeous place to be. Not being paid to say that, well, maybe a little bit, but anyway, I'm here with my co-host Scott Walker, longtime race lover, longtime co-host of The Drift, and I think we're just excited to get this going. This is a monumental moment for racing history, I think.
And the city is beautiful, but not as beautiful as the women. And, I think right off the bat, hearing you say 2022, bang on, Mike. So that's impressive. I think this dry version of Mike, I love good time Mike, don't get me wrong, but boy, this is laser focus coming from the other side of the booth.
Yeah, the off season, that's when you go down to Tijuana, and that's when you have your fun. But the off season really bled into the regular season last year, and I'll be the first to admit, and I was on my hands and knees many times last year admitting that I was not in a racing headspace. I was in a cars headspace. I was thinking about player. I was honking, and to be here and be in the dry desert, it's nice to be. It's dry. The studio's dry, which is great. It's not wet like our Tampa studio. And there's not a drop of alcohol in sight, so I'm enjoying a nice tall glass of water, and I'm focused, and I'm just excited about this big moment in sports because, any racing fan, and we've been MK1 fans from the start, but any racing fans at least interested in what's going to happen here today with MKS. There's some familiar faces from the MK1 circuit, and there's a lot of questions about what this league is actually going to mean for racing. I mean, it's talked a big game. It's been saying that it's going to change the way racing's done. It's going to treat stars right. It's going to introduce the events that people are wanting to see. But that all kicks off tonight.
Yeah, and when you mentioned treating stars right, that's the one thing that's kind of been stunning is that people are saying to us that MKS actually treats women better than MK1, and you think a Saudi league treating women better than a U.S. league? How could that be? But, I think, it's been well documented, some of the, perceived issues with MK1 and women. And I air quotes around issues because, we know hens like to cluck. But, it's kind of stunning to see. And I think that's, maybe we'll see that female fan base really pick up as well with MKS, which, could be great for the sport of racing.
Definitely. And it's interesting that narrative persists because right now on the track, MK1 has multiple women. It's got a women's racing league, but there's a lot of drama swirling around the track. I think it may be in part because of the way we talk about the women of racing and things like that.
We had a little bit to do with that, but we like to have fun. We like to have fun.
It's jokes.
It's a locker room in here, and sometimes we can't keep up with the PC police because. Can anyone? I mean, what can you say these days? Like, I love Saudi Arabia. There's no rules. Well, there's a lot of rules, but there's less rules about what you can say, more rules about what you can do. But it's kind of, us being in the radio business, I think it's good.
Yeah, definitely. But it's interesting that this narrative persists because the only woman on the track is, a woman I've never seen. And there are people talking about how it's a bit of a PR stunt by the Saudis to bring in Pamela. I'm not sure too much about her. We're going to get into those scouting reports later. But I think that really it feels like a bit of a publicity stunt. You got real great women racers, Rachel Soar on the other track. But over here, you got, I guess, two women. My apologies.
Yeah, you got T-Money, you got Pam, but...
Oh, boy.
But
this
Pam,
is egg on my face again.
Part of... Yeah, I mean, maybe... I don't know. The press is going to run with this. MK, the host of The Drift, forget women racer, but I think the point that you're trying to get is...
And I'm back off I'm back on the wagon, or which is it? Am I on or off the wagon? Whichever one is not drinking.
What you're trying to say is Pam apparently is a very hot racer, and that's sort of, the type of woman we care about, but... it's going to be exciting.
Like she would have a TikTok account, more than a race account,
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. Pam's quite a handful, I hear, but anyway, we're going to get into this a bit later down the road. We're going to be talking about, I guess, the draft rules to begin with. Let's dive in there. So this is going to be an exciting time. So we are doing 2 rounds, and it's going to be an auction draft. So the first round, is going to be drafting the team captains. We're going to be talking about who we think are going to be the team captains coming up, but these are the big money makers on the teams. They're the faces of the teams, and they got a few extra responsibilities. They're going to be starting the bids at $6 million. That's big, big money. I don't think MK1 has been giving out money like that. These bids can go as high as $9 million. So I don't know if you think anybody's going to be touching that, but Midas might be, made of gold and also got a bank account full of it. After that, all racers need to just take one captain. That's when the second round starts. Bids are going to start a little bit lower, $500,000. Not the most money in the world, but we can get up there. Whatever people have left, the teams are going to bid, and there's going to be no order here. Teams are going to be able to pick out players they want. Highest bid wins. So there's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of chaos going on in the next next half an hour.
Man, oh man. I mean, don't say the only excitement comes on the track. When you got a live auction like this,
yeah.
Wow. I mean, that gets the adrenaline going.
Oh yeah. So, before starting this, let's talk about the race teams, because these are going to be the people shelling out the big bucks. They're some, not so familiar faces to all MK1 fans, but familiar faces to the hardcore long-term fans. People who raced quite a long time ago. You're going to start off with Burning DK Racing. Everybody's familiar with that drink. It starts off hot and then it goes cold, just like a perfect massage. That is not a plug. That is just a fact. But it's, run by Swanky Kong and his son, or his nephew, DH Swank. So those are two big names in racing for a long period of time. Maybe not familiar to the young fans of today who are familiar with the Sexy Bacons and the Donald Hogs. But those are two long-term racing greats, and that's the team that I think I would want to be on if I'm picking a team right now.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on that. I mean, they're a very storied team. DH Swank, he's obviously the back-to-back champion, but I just, I think they're kind of running off that family legacy. This is what have you done for me lately kind of league. I do question the intelligence on that team. If they really are putting in the work. I think Swanky, I don't know about that guy, but with that legacy and that branding, I think you land there, you could be a star. Is kind of definitely the big takeaway.
And then the next team up is JD Corp. So JD, Jasper Dog, the real J dollar sign. He's a man of many talents. Most of you know him more as James Bond than his on-the-track work, but a really controversial racer, but comes from big money. And I mean, to have him running a team, I think you're going to get some fun little gadgets. Maybe he's got the, I don't know what that guy's name is from Bond, but the guy who puts together all those gadgets, maybe you'll get a couple of those in your car. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be unfair, but I don't. And again, another thing where I'd like to push back, because I just don't know about this character of JD. He's got this conglomerate. He's talking about buying up dead. He's going on Bloomberg. And we all know him as a racer. He was, to put it frank, a real piece of shit. Kind of controversial, murder of, Sweet Toad. But that's, again, this new generation, they don't want to hear about that. But, I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be as a manager, but I think it's probably better for everyone if he's off the track. It's a little safer up there.
It's a little safer, but now he's got 3 racers to basically tell how to race, tell how to do what they... And he's going to be training them, so we don't know what kind of chaos that might spawn, but very, big money going into that race team. So, and the final one, of course, is, we're familiar with their absolute crap work they did on Grumble Volcano, but Morton Construction, they're basically putting their final chips in. They're in heavy debt. And they're just trying to, I guess, save their business through this Hail Mary by creating a racing team. I don't know about what's going on there, but you have some insight into it.
Yeah, I mean, not many people know much about Morton. Sometimes you see him on the track, and he kind of famously, when he goes off a jump and does a trick, sounds like he's nutting himself. It's weird. But, so you don't know. I don't know, other than that, other than the sounds he makes out there, I don't know a lot about him. I hear, the company isn't exactly the most solvent. As you said, a Hail Mary. Apparently they were involved with Burn DK as well, funding some of that, which I don't even want to open that can of worms. But a lot of question marks around this team. But they might be the only team that's actually committed to racing. Maybe this Hail Mary approach where everything's riding on this versus, for JD, he's got, all this other shit going on.
It's a game for him to
exactly, for
team.
burning DK. These, that rich family, they're going to be fine no matter what. So, maybe it's kind of, like a hungry dog hunts best. Maybe that's kind of the situation here. So that's going to be interesting.
That could be interesting for sure. Now diving into the racers, let's talk about sort of our top 3, our middle 3, and our bottom 3. So this is Mike's big board coming up. The top 3 in my mind, the teams are going to be team captains. I'd be shocked if they're not. Midas, Shell, and T-Money. You're getting 3 real MK1 stars. I know Shell never officially raced on MK1, but we all saw what he was able to do on that track when he was a substitute. T-Money and Midas, both long-term. I mean, Midas is the biggest star here. He's number 1 on my big board because he's done big things in the biggest league in racing up to this point. So I don't know if you have any pushback on that, if you have any thoughts on the top 3 as well.
I mean, everyone knows my history with Shell, and I think as part of this new league, and when I heard that Shell was going to be involved in this new league, I said, I'd rather put a bullet in my head than be around him. But he actually reached out and he wants to, kind of extend it an olive branch. So, I'm a big man, both physically and metaphorically, and I took that olive branch and I'm going to do my best. So, I'm not going to say anything negative about Shell until he does something to really piss me off. So, no comment on Shell right now. But as for Midas and T-Money, they're kind of traitors, if we're being honest.
Oh, yeah.
They ditch MK1. Midas gets that podium, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's out of there. He doesn't think he can do it twice. He knows Marky Mark is pissed off, and all of a sudden, Midas is gone. So that's something. Then T-Money, I don't know if she ever had a lasting legacy in MK1. I know a lot of people felt that both the combo of Midas and T-Money was the most boring team in MK1 history. So a lot of people said, oh, they're gone. Like, who cares? So maybe this is a chance for them to, actually really shine, and maybe they'll speak up while racing rather than just, being all quiet. So I don't know. This could be big for them. But, again, I don't know if their integrity is there. You get one chance at a big paycheck, all of a sudden you leave America for Saudi Arabia, and that is different from what you and I did, because we did it, for different reasons to grow the sport, not just about.
We cover all racing. My hands are basically bound in chains to come here. So I mean,
exactly.
They put me on the plane screaming. They had to be dragged on.
We are American. We're not leaving. So that's the difference,
especially after 9/11. So
we all know Saudi's ties with that, but. Midas and T-Money, they couldn't get on that plane fast enough.
I love it.
I don't know. These 3 team captains, I don't know if I can wrap my arms around them, but I think they're good on the track, and that I can't deny.
I can agree with that. And now moving on to our middle 3. So these are, I think, the top racers. I put them in a 4, 5, 6 order, but really they're interchangeable after Slam Carter. Slam is obviously the big ticket item for the start of the second round, but you got guys like Benjamin Bibo and Lucky. I mean, racers that have interesting ties to racing. They seem like they're, they've got that potential. We've seen them race in some of these preseason events and in some of the MK2 races they used to take on. But really, I don't know necessarily how high they're going to fly in season 1, and I think that's what it's about. I think that these are both racers that I have high hopes for in the future, but is a question mark about what's going to be coming into the league.
Yeah, and I've heard they're coming in a little bit cocky. And we've seen this story before. You get the new racer, they, we're a big deal in their little small town in, Mississippi or some shit like that, and you come to the big leagues, and all of a sudden, wow, Sexy Bacon's out there. You got Donald Hogg, you got Shell, and all of a sudden you realize, you're just a little ant to these giants. But again, not thrilled about Slam, especially after he tried to kiss me in studio last year. But I guess Slam did not reach out, but I don't know. I guess there's sort of I'm taking it easy on the Carters for now. As long as they stay in line.
That's probably not going to happen.
Well, maybe.
I like your optimism.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear though that you have the second tier. So I mean, we've heard a lot about Pam, and you think Pam's not in tier 1 or tier 2. That's interesting. But I mean, it's Mike's big board, and you're the big man on the show, so I'm going to leave it to you.
Well, let's talk about Pam by moving on to the bottom 3. So, Pam's right at the top of that bottom 3 for me, and it's really just a lack of knowledge. She's raced in a lot of show events. She's put up nice time trials. But I really have never seen her out on the track, and it feels like one of those things where, as I said, a bit of a publicity stunt, and she's tied in with Midas apparently in some way. You might have a little bit more information on this, but it feels like they're bringing her in to sort of create drama, create a little bit of PR, good PR for the Saudis, but I don't know, as a racer, when she gets out on the track, I don't know if I trust her yet.
Well, she famously cut Midas, and for those listeners who didn't hear the episode with Midas and Slam last year, but I guess what the story was, Midas was a human, right? And then he got cut by Pamela, and then he got covered in metal after that, which then turned to gold.
Yeah.
And then Slam kind of insinuated that he was the one who banged Pamela, but then when we pressed further, it was just that he had a piece of paper printing out zeros and ones to
he
he
knew
thought
what she looked like
Pamela. He was real smug about it, kind of,
he said you have a beautiful wife.
Yeah, and like made it seem, and then all he saw was zeros and ones. But
I just want to say we've been in some heated moments in the studio. I mean, we can all think about me getting told to honk like a car, the Giga Chad energy, but nothing came close to when Midas was told by Slam Carter that he had a very beautiful wife. So that there's some tension there. It's not just a guy complimenting the wife. There's definitely something that happened between these two.
The drama with MKS, like, I don't know how Midas is going to...
These three on the track together.
He's had a problematic, issues with his ex-wife. Sounds... frankly a little abusive and kind of like revenge based and things like that. Now all of a sudden she's racing. Now she's racing and they're going to be on the track together with Slam.
Yeah,
the guy who printed off zeros and ones to look like her.
I know.
And you don't do that to another man's wife. Like, that's...
Yeah. So, I mean, Pam could shoot up these rankings, I guess, long story short, but right now it feels like a move to bring in a lot of drama. And as we've sort of talked about, the drama's here. So...
Oh. Boy, is it ever.
Boy, is it ever. And the next couple racers, we're going to be going with Bloshi and Comeback Koopa. So both racers, in my mind, they're just sort of interchangeable, 8 and 9. If I'm being honest, I put Bloshi number 9, and I put Comeback Koopa number 8, because I think Comeback Koopa has a little bit of that revenge in him that drove Midas to the podium. And he really hates MK1.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of MK1 hate between Midas, Team Money, and this Comeback Koopa. So, I don't know. People like to sell it, but until you're on the track, all those big words about revenge and things, it doesn't make you a better racer. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And as for Bloshi, I don't know. I think there's something special about this kid. I think, apparently he's the prince, son of a Saudi king. I think you've got some info.
Yeah, I got to meet him.
Yeah, you got to meet him.
He's a hell of a kid. It's a super nice kid.
just a nice kid. Just a good
nice kid. He loves to drive his car. He took me out in his Lamborghini. We're driving around on the freeways, doing some drifts and things. Pretty dangerous, but he had control of it, and it was fun to do. But even with all that showboating, I thought this might not translate onto the track. It's just a privileged kid.
Yeah. I hate those kids, but unlike us, we've scrapped our way to the top, and boy, are we at the top, and the view is nice.
The view is nice. It used to be the 6th floor penthouse. I think I might move up to the 7th floor penthouse. At the very least, my building can stop sinking, because when I was talking about my beautiful 6th floor penthouse, and they built the floors above me, perhaps despite me, I did buy it as a penthouse, not to get into this again. But when they built the floors on top, of course, we're living in Tampa Bay. The building is sinking. It's a whole thing. So even just staying on the 6th floor would be great. But no, I do think that I might move up to that 7th floor penthouse, because things are going quite well.
Yeah, and People ask us how we, can cash checks that are funded by, blood money and oil and things like that. And it's not too hard when you see the number of zeros behind those numbers.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we're coming up on the time for the first picks in the draft. So I guess who's your prediction? What team and what racer are going off the board here in the next minute?
I got to say Midas. I think, they're kind of building the league around him as the face of the league, him and the Carters, which, again, I don't know about the decision-making, but I think Midas is kind of, he's the gold. He's in Saudi Arabia. They love gold. It's like, I think it could be a fit.
Yeah. Any idea about which racing team you think is going to scoop him up?
I think, Bernie DK, they love to put on a show. They love to have a big star, so I think they're going to, be bidding high for him.
Yeah, I
don't think Morton can afford him, to be honest.
Well, every team's got that $10 million unless there's...
I know, but some...
You think
it's
that
one
they
thing to say
filed
you have
something?
$10 million, but...
Okay. Interesting. I mean, I could see more. I think Morton's going to fudge it. They might come up short on the money payment, but we might have some issues after the draft. But I guess all these questions can be answered now because the pick is in. And with the first overall pick, Midas is going off the board to Burning DK Racing. So this is a monumental moment in racing. And, the first player that's going to be selected. So I think we've got Scott's scouting reports coming up for these players. So tell us a little bit about Midas, what Burning DK is getting.
I mean, I watched him closely in MK1, and we've never seen a star ascend quite like that. He, was horrible his first season, which was season 2. The time it was season 3, he was on the podium, knocking off Marky Mark, one of the 3 stars. But one thing you don't have to worry about him on the track. It's off the track that I'm worried about, especially when you hear that Pamela's in the league. Yeah. I don't know. That's one big red flag. But in terms of racing talent, he's got it all, Mike.
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about the one issue in his racing, and perhaps he's cleaned it up over the off season, but his use of items, that's the one thing holding him back in MK1 from being a true star, challenging Sexy Bacon and Donald Hogg, because we remember halfway through that season, he was on top of the podium for a brief period of time, and I think if with a little better, we've seen the improvements that he's made between those 2 seasons, so I think they got a great racer here, but you're right, he's got some things to work on off the track, and with all this excitement, money, and fame going to his head, there might be problems there too. Maybe he's not racing as hard, but we will see. And I think that was the obvious pick. But coming up, there's going to be another pick coming in soon. All right, and the pick is in for the second overall pick. Shell Carter is going to JD Corp Racing.
Wow.
So, I mean, I know that you're not loving this, but you're going to have to do that nice scouting report. Tell us who we're getting. Tell us who JD Corp is getting.
Wow. I mean, you're not getting a cool guy. You are getting an absolute dork. He loves PF Chang's. He loves the waitresses. They do not love him back. But, he's tough to take. He killed that astronaut. He always says he's got this crazy new car, space age technology, when it's just, a piece of shit car.
Yeah.
He's the absolute worst. Sorry, I know I said he's... I don't know. I'm struggling here, Mike, but he's a good racer. And
he's a good racer, yeah.
I think he's got... I would actually say he's probably better than Midas, and I think he's got a very real shot of winning this thing.
Wow, so, you're thinking that it might be a little bit of a steal coming in at second, in terms of his racing ability.
That. Yeah, in terms of racing ability, but in terms of overall ability, like with girls and whatnot, it's, I'd say you overpaid if you include that. But I don't know, is there PF Chang's in Saudi Arabia? Because that could throw him off.
Yeah, he's going to have to travel for those PF Chang's, and thankfully this circuit goes all around the world. But that's going to be tough for him. I think he might get into some trouble in Saudi Arabia. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm interested to see. And I think that the big thing is that I don't know about him as a captain. I know that you got to take a racing talent like that in the first round, but there's a couple, Midas and Shell are tough personalities to potentially lead a race team. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be a young kid learning under those two, but...
absolutely not.
Let's move on.
I'm getting word that the third pick is in, so with the third overall pick, Morton Construction Racing they're taking Pam?
Wow. Wow, I guess maybe Morton knows something we don't, but it's tough.
I don't think that this makes a lot of sense, to be quite honest.
Beautiful Pam and the coming noises on the track. Morton's not actually nutting; he's just making the noise. I think that's an important distinction. But yeah, I mean, this is a controversial pick. Someone you put in your tier 3 of racers going in the first round as a possible team captain.
I mean,
there's got to be
something. That doesn't make a lot of sense. They must have loved what they saw, but
yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, I think we all will.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But with racers like Team Money and Slam on the board, I can understand maybe Pam going 5th, going a little bit higher than I thought, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You've got qualified racers with a good history, but I mean, what's your read on Pam? What's your scouting report?
I think maybe we underestimated Morton, because maybe this is a move to really get under Midas' skin. As we said, could be one of the top racers if he keeps it together off the track. But all of a sudden, if you've got Pam on a rival team, how's Midas going to take that? Is he going to want to kill her? Is he going to use his items, or is he not going to use items to try and win her back? That's something to think about. So I don't know. I think this is a savvy move by old Mort.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely interesting. So right now we've established who the 3 team captains are. We've got Midas going to Burning DK. We've got Shell going to JD Corp. We got I'm still thinking off my rankings. I'm still shocked by this Pam, but
mixing up the women again.
I know. We've got Pam going to Morton Construction, which really makes no sense. We're going to have to, I mean, this is going to be a big item of discussion in our season preview, but boy, oh boy, isn't that just a shocking, I'm just shocked. I got nothing else to say other than I'm shocked.
For our listeners, Mike's jaw is on the floor and he is beet red.
I'm just in shock right now, but
he's absolutely beet red.
Oh my God. So with that first round done, we've got, let's look at what is available for the next round in terms of cash and how that might dictate the strategy. So right now, you got Morton Construction. They came in with the 3rd pick. That's an easy $6 million. So they got $4 million to play with. They're in the driver's seat, metaphorically and I guess literally speaking, in terms of how they want to play this next round. Then you got JD Corp. They got 3.1 on the board. And of course, at the bottom, Burning DK, they spent a lot of money to get their shiny new toy. And I think that you were right. Swanky likes to spend a little bit more to just show off. So, I mean, how this plays out, I guess we'll see soon, because the 4th pick is coming in soon. And with the 4th pick, Morton Construction is taking Slam Carter. So
wow.
It's the 4th pick, but wow, Pam and Slam together, and
Slam.
I think
wow,
that's getting in Midas's head if we're talking about that, because you mentioned that
what Morton
they're spending all their time together.
Oh boy, I can just Midas is probably in his room right now. Just, I'm so mad. I'm gonna kill her.
We'll talk about that. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, let's talk about Slam Carter, the racer. Let's not talk about the strategy here. What are you seeing out of this racer? What makes him so appealing to get, probably the most money out of any second-tier racer?
I mean, he's got racing talent. Similar to Shell, it's tough to, separate the art from the artist. On the track, he's okay. Off the track, he's trying to kiss me. So I don't know. If you're Morton, do you want your racer trying to kiss you? But that's something to think about. But I do think in terms of racing ability, I would put him as kind of he's borderline top tier. Borderline in the first tier of racers. So I think to get him in the second round is a big plus for Morton Construction.
And you think that's a racer that could potentially reach the podium this year?
Podium, I don't know if he can leapfrog. I don't know. It depends what Pamela is. I don't know. I think he's probably behind Midas and Shell, but if Pam can race versus if she can, that's going to really dictate Slam's future. And maybe he's fine with it either way. We know he's got a thing for Pamela. He loves those 0s and 1s. So yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm shocked about who's still on the board. So thinking next we're going to see him come off the board, but with the next pick, the 5th overall pick, Burning DK Racing selects Team Money, who really they're getting a steal with this pick. I mean, they're putting together an MK1 super team. So tell us a little bit about T Money.
Again, watched her closely in MK1. I think in MK1, we maybe thought she was going to push the podium a little more than she did, but she did, she's got a high ceiling. I will say this. I remember her coming out first on that snow level, whatever the hell it's called, where she called her shot. She finished first. So she's got that ability to get on the top of the podium. It's just consistency with her. And, she does love Cheeseland, which makes you question kind of, her thinking, her logic. If, as Marky Mark famously said, Cheeseland's for clowns. And I don't know. So it's tough to get a read on her. But, I think one thing that's exciting is, I said this with Midas too, is, maybe MKS is a fresh start for these two. I don't know if we ever, they kind of, became the stars they could have been in MK1. There's a lot of big personalities there. So, them kind of coming in as being like the big money grabs for MKS to take from MK1. Maybe this is what they need to shine bright and really take it to the next level.
Yeah, and I think maybe some reasons why T-Money fell down a little bit. I remember some interviews that they did during the offseason talking about their racing strategy and how they're basically training for this year. And their response was that they haven't even touched their bike since, the end of the season. That it's all natural to them and that they're sort of a pro. And I believe that. I believe that it's so natural to them that they can be a top 3 player in this league without even having touched it in the offseason. But I could see how that puts them down from that captaincy that they could have been shooting for.
Yeah, you can only rely on talent so much when you got guys like, Sexy Bacon does that because he, famously made a deal with the devil. But I don't know. This could be big for, and T-Money and Midas, they were teammates in MK1. Once again, teammates on Burning DK. I think that could help them too, just having that sort of consistency and familiarity with their teammates. That could be big.
Absolutely. And the next pick is in with the 6th overall pick. JD Racing Corp selects Bibo. So this is a racer that I don't know a lot about. He's a young racer, raced on MK2. Scott, tell us a little bit about what we should expect from Bibo.
The mystery man of MKS. I think the scouting reports I've gotten back from him is he's raw. He's very raw, but he's committed to the sport. Kind of the opposite of T-Money, I think, where T-Money kind of has that ability but doesn't put in the time. Bibo, from what I hear, is, he's committed to the track. This is new to him. I don't know if we can expect him to push a podium or anything like that. But, we've heard he's kind of a big personality too, which, as we said, we love the drama. Who knows what he's going to bring to the table. But I think he has the opportunity to really establish himself within that second tier racing, maybe push Slam a little bit. So, this is a big stage for him. And, if he's the personality he claims to be, this could be a bit huge.
Yeah, I'm excited. And as I said, with Bibo and with some of these other racers, I'm not sure about this year. Since these are 1-year contracts, you're drafting for this season. But he's a racer that I think has a really exciting future because some of the things that we've seen done on the track by him in some of those MK2 races and in some of his time trials, he's an exciting young guy to watch. With the next pick, the 7th overall pick, JD Corp is drafting back-to-back, and they're taking Lucky. So they're taking a lot of potential. They're taking a lot of upside. And, you're seeing 2 young racers with just endless potential, and they're going to be working with Shell Carter. So I think this might be a bad for them and for the team in general, but we'll see how it goes. So tell us a little bit about what you know about Lucky.
What I know about Lucky is, he's got the big glasses. He's out there. Yeah. And, he's slight in stature, but, he's kind of a shifty character. But as you alluded to, we got 2 young promising racers under Shell Carter. Man, I don't know if that's a recipe for success. I don't know if Shell's going to be, kind of passing on the tips and tricks of the trade. I think he might be trying to just squash, a potential threat to his stardom and, his chance of getting PF Chang's waitress. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for those 2. But, in terms of the new racers joining, whether you want to call it, new to the circuit who weren't on MK1 before, I think these two could stand out and be future stars of the sport.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think it's an interesting strategy that we can talk about now that the team is set. JD Corp has drafted all their players, but you've got one of the heaviest, biggest dorks I've ever seen on the track in Shell leading the team. And then you got two light racers. So I wonder what the strategy is there, or if they're just picking just based off talent. So it is an interesting construction of a team. Whereas, we look at Morton Construction, their first two picks. Pam and Slam they're pretty big and pretty heavy. So it's interesting to see how it's going to go. But we'll talk about that in another episode, because right now we've got the 8th pick coming up. And with the 8th pick, Morton Construction finishes out their team. They're taking Bloshi a little bit earlier than I expected, but as I say, he drifted around on the freeway with me, and it was quite impressive.
One thing you have to wonder about this is, you kind of put two and two together, the rich dad and then Morton Construction possibly being underwater. We've seen this in F1 where you kind of have the rich kid and his dad, kind of pays the bills for the racing team and get him a spot. So I don't know, there could have been some movement behind the scenes with this kid, but I don't know much about him. You said he's a good kid, never met him in my life, but I think this could be good for Morton's bank account, more so than the racing team. So, but hey, he's going to have a chance to shine on this team, and I think he's got, with Slamla there, I think Bloshi's a bit of a lightweight racer. Maybe have those two as kind of the battering ram, and Bloshi kind of comes through and gets some wins. So I think it's a good spot for Bloshi. I think they can really develop there, and it's going to be a lot easier than being under Shell.
Yeah, definitely. I think Shell is probably the worst captain of them all. And Pam, we'll see. I'm still shocked by this, but there's a lot to develop there. We'll talk about it in the future when we see her race. But with the 9th pick, this is going to be no surprise, but Burning DK is going to round things out with Comeback Koopa. And, this is a racer that's driven by revenge, as I said earlier. He had that MK2 circuit that he was racing in for quite a long time, and didn't always look like this. So there was a terrible, terrible accident, and barely survived. There's a lot of things that I don't want to get in trouble for saying, because I think that they might be, I don't know if the media liability things apply when we're over in Saudi Arabia, but he does say that, the commissioner of MK1 tried to pull the plug on him. So,
it's hearsay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's true, but, that's what I hear. And, he's just driven by trying to get back on the track. But do you have anything that you think about Comeback Koopa? Do you think that this is a deserving spot, or do you think that people are underestimating him? Because I know you used to watch him in MK2 a little bit when you were scouting for us down there.
Man, in terms of racing, I think he deserved to probably be higher than the last pick of the draft. But I think what you're seeing is these team captains and, these big organizations, they don't necessarily want a guy who, is going to run to the media and blame kind of the big, organization for all their woes. MK1 hurt me and tried to pull the plug on me. Like, dude, whatever. So I think that's one thing that these guys are thinking about. And, it's interesting that Swanky has sort of put together, a revenge tour team. You got Midas, cool. You got T-Money, and now you got this kid, and they all hate MK1. I don't know if Swanky's trying to send a message or what's going on, but that's, there's going to be a lot of emotions on that team, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. And, just wrapping this up and seeing these teams in place, it's getting me excited for that MKS season premiere. So there's a lot of exciting things. And, I think all racing fans, and we'll get into this when we do our season preview in the future, but I think all fans can be excited about this MKS League because of some of the crossover potential and the Champions League that's coming up. But, for now, I'm just excited to wrap up this draft and sort of see the direction of MKS come into, full picture.
Hey, no question. You add these, these young hot shots to the league, and apparently MK1's got some new racers too. It's like Christmas morning, and we are kids opening up this shiny new present. And, but instead of one present, we got like 10 new presents. You got lucky. It is
nice.
Christmas morning, and we were very good boys, me and Mike. And I think
so.
Santa and his elves were just working all night long for our shiny new toys.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that. I'm waking up a little bit early to open up my gifts.
I can't sleep. I'm peeking one ear. Oh, did I hear footsteps on the roof? I baked the cookies. You want a big glass of milk, Santa? I've been so good.
Yeah, a little extra present under the tree for me because I've been extra good. So, I think we can unwrap a few of these presents in the season preview. I'm very excited, but it's a good day for racing fans, and it's really exciting. So, thank you, and reporting from Saudi Arabia, we're going to check out and maybe just, I don't know, go hang out with some gorgeous women and drive around the desert. I'm not sure, but we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we won't get into any trouble, eh, Mike?
I don't think so. There's a few
areas
areas
naughty list next year, but I hope we get some more nice presents. Maybe we can be nice at the very end.
I think we might. So we're going to be wrapping up for now, and thank you for tuning in. This has been the MKS 2022 inaugural draft, so exciting times ahead. Checking off and signing off. It's Mike Austin, Scott Walker.